So from today onwards, we are going to start learning Python programming because Python programming is the most important thing before learning automation. Because if you work with any automation tool, right, the automation tool can understand the language. So if you know the programming language well, so you will able to write the good number of test cases and effectively. Okay. So from today onwards, we are going to start a Python programming language. So first, let us start with some basic concepts like what is Python programming and where it is started, what is the history, and what are the different thing Python programming will Python language will support, and also we'll compare Python language with other programming languages which are already available in the market. Okay, then we will understand why Python is become more popular in the current day market, and we will see some basic important things, and after that I'll show you how we can install Python, and then we will see how to write a basic programs by using Python programming language. Okay, so first let us start with what is basically Python. What is Python? So let me just put a few important points here. So Python is basically a high level general purpose programming language. The first point, Python is high level general purpose programming language. So which contains a multiple words here. We need to understand individually. So high level is one thing, and general purpose and programming language. So we need to divide the sentence, then we need to understand clearly what exactly Python means. So Python is a high level programming language. What is high level means? Which is user friendly. So everyone will able to understand the language. If I write some code in the Python, everyone will easily understand. It is more user friendly language. And what is general purpose? General purpose means by using Python, we can develop any kind of application. It can be web application or mobile app application or desktop applications. All kinds of applications we can develop by using Python language. So it's a general purpose. So which is high level general purpose programming language. Now which is open source language. Open source means what? It is freely available. Even Java is not a free software. So till Java 8, a free support is there. After Java 8, whatever versions you are going to install, we need to buy some license if you are using Java inside any companies. But Python is completely open source. So we don't need to pay any money for that. So we can just download and install. I can start work with the Python. And the third point is platform independent, most important feature. So what is platform independent means? We can install Python and we can write a Python program in one environment, and we can run the same Python program in another environment. For example, if you write your program on Windows operating system, and you can execute the same program on Linux operating system or Mac operating system everywhere. So Python is a platform independent, and there are some programming languages which are completely platform dependent, like C sharp, but Java is also platform independent. So like Java, Python is also platform independent. Okay, so these are the three important points which we need to remember before starting Python language. So Python is a high level general purpose programming language which is completely open source and it's a platform independent. Now let us compare the Python with other languages. Why Python is very easy to easy when you compare with the Python with other languages. So why most of the people will feel easiness. So when you work with the Python language. So let me just share a small uh, picture. Then you will able to understand why Python is exactly why Python is more simpler than other programming languages. Because in the Python, we can simply write one single line statement. In other programming languages, we need to write multiple lines of code. Okay, so let me just share a small screenshot. Hold on. Okay, yeah. Now we can just look at this small picture. And here I mentioned four programming languages. Okay, one is Python and C, C++, and Java. And if you want to write a simple line, or if you want to print something in Python, we have to just write only one single statement. In the print, we have to just specify whatever you want to print. But if I just look at other programming languages and just look at the Java here. So the fourth one is a Java point. So if I just look at here, if you want to print a small message, at least we have to write 3 to 4 lines of code in Java. At least we have to write 3 to 4 lines of code code in Java. And similar, if you just go with the C and the C++ also, we have to write multiple lines of code. So you can just look at with a simple example how Python is very simple and very easy to learn. At here, if you want to start with Java or C or C++, we need to again understand multiple keywords here. What is int, what is main, what is printf, what is return. And if I start with Java, again, we have to understand what is public, class, right? Public, static, void, means all these things we need to understand. But if you come to the Python, it is very simple language, and with single statement, we can just print some output. So this example says how Python is very easier than other languages. Okay, if I write 1000 lines of code in Java, we can simply do the same thing within 50 to 100 lines of code in Python. So because of easiness, so that's the reason people are start learning Python instead of going for Java directly. Okay, so Python is very easy to learn, and now Python is a very easy language when you compare with the other languages. Now, when I see the history of the Python, for example, which languages come into market first, Java or Python? So most people like think Java is a old language than Python, right? So actually, the Python is a very older language than Java. So Python came into the market in 1980s only. So 1980s, the Python came into market, but in the 1990s, Java came into market. But from the last 20 to 25 years, Java becomes very popular in the market than Python. But from the last 5 to 10 years, Python is becoming popular in the current market. But why Python is not that much become famous in the earlier years, in the 1980s, even in the 1980s only the Python is introduced. After that, Java is came into market. So there are multiple reasons are there. So actually the Python, uh, suppose in 1995 or in 1990s, so we have only desktop applications, we don't even have web applications at that time. So whatever the market trending or market requirement at that time, we have only Java language is supporting more, and Java is more compatible at that time to develop those kind of applications. And that is the reason Java becomes very popular at that time in 1990s and 2000, from 2000 to 2010 2015. So during those years, Java becomes very famous in the market. But after that, what happens, there are new trending technologies are coming into market, like data science or big data or neural networks, artificial intelligence. Especially these technologies, Java is not performing well more than the Java. So Python is preferred because Python is exactly a suitable language in those technologies. So that is the reason the Python trending is started now. So Python becoming very popular in the new trending technologies. Okay. So using Java, just desktop applications or web applications or mobile applications you can develop. But Python, by using Python, we can also develop web applications, mobile applications, as well as desktop applications. But apart from that, which is also more useful, especially in the new trending technologies like big data or artificial intelligence, data science, and so on. Okay, so that is the reason Python is becoming very popular in the nowadays. So in future also, maybe automation is also completely may move to the Python programming, because recently it is started Python along with automation. So initially, automation is started with the Java language because most of the web applications are developed using Java. So even Selenium is learning with Java, most of the people. But recently, people have started learning Selenium with Python language also, because Python is also supported in Selenium. Okay. So if I just come to the history part, actually this is implemented. Python was started in around 1989. So here Gudovan Rosum. So he's a name of the other for that Python programming language. And at that time, he's working on CWI company in the Netherlands. In the 1991, so this guy published the actual code. So the initial version of Python is 0.9.0. And after that, they have added so many things in the middle versions, like 1994, they have released Python 1.0. and again which is introduced new features like lambda expression, map, filter, reduce, all these things, because developers, this is very more useful for developers, but they are newly added some features at that time. And after that 2.0 is also added new features like comprehensions, garbage collection, and so on. And 2008 Python 3 is got released, and which is also called as a Py 3k. And as soon as the Python 3 got released, from that time slowly Python started become popular or famous in the market. And actually Python is a language which is written based on other two languages called ABC and Modular 3. So these are the two languages which were there at that time in 1980s. So initial languages when computers are introduced in the market, at that time we have only machine languages are there. So these are the two languages are there at that time. So based on them, based on those languages, Python is started introduced. So this is a basic history. So there are multiple versions are there in the middle, but as soon as Python 3 started, and people have started using it in multiple trending technologies, and which is more compatible with the latest technologies. All right, so this is a simple understanding or basic understanding what is Python and where it is started. So if anyone asks you which one is a older language, Python or Java, so always Python is a older than Java. Okay, so Python is a older language than Java, but Java become very popular at the 1990s and 2000 years. But now again Python is becoming very famous in the market. Okay, but when you compare these two languages, Python is very old language when you compare with the Java. Okay, so now let us see how to download and install Python, and I'll show you some basic programs, how we can write a program and how we can compile it and how we can execute all these things. And we have so much of flexibility in the Python. It's not like Java, so it's very simple. And downloading software, installing, writing a program, execution, in everywhere you can just find easiness. If you already know Java programming, you definitely feel the easiness while learning the Python. Okay, now let us see how to download and install Python on Windows operating system. It is almost same in the Mac also, so I'll just only install is different. Okay, so how to download and install Python? So to download and install in Python, you can just go to the Python official website. You can just search for download Python, and which will open a Python official website. This is a download Python, python.org. Just go to this website. Now you can just go to the download section directly, or the home page itself, which will show you download the latest version of for Windows. And by default it is giving Windows, and if you want to download Mac, you can just click on this link, Mac OS. And if you want to download Windows, you can just click on the Windows link here, and then it will navigate to Windows. Python releases for Windows. And again 2 is also there, 3 is also there. So 3 is always latest, and all the new implementations are available only Python 3. Okay, so always download Python 3. So when you just click on this link, as soon as you click on this link, which will start downloading the software. Okay, I just click on that link, just a moment. Okay, so once you click on this link, it will navigate to another page. Now you can just look at here. I'm just clicking on the Python 3 release, Python 3.9.6. So this is the latest version. All right. So if I just come down here, there are multiple links also there. Again, even in the Windows also, there are again 32-bit to 64-bit is there. Right. So now what we can do is we can just directly click on the Windows installer 64-bit. So now it is started downloading. So I already have a download file. I'm just discarding this. So once you download, you will get installer file. Okay, I'll show you what is that installer file here. So here, this is the installer file. So you can just look at here, Python 3.9.6 amd64.exe. This is a simple executable file you will get. So once you get an exe file, you can start installing the Python. So I will share a small document here. You guys can try this on your machine. So you can just provided the download link here. And once you downloaded your software, or if you are using Mac, so you can just go to this link and download the software. Okay. So you will get an installer file like this. So once you get an installer file, you can just double click on it, and then it will start installing the Python. It's very simple and straightforward. And then it will open the installer screen like this, and just select the first one, install now. And this is the actual default location where your Python is going to install. See users, admin, app data, local programs, Python, Python 3.9. So this is a default location. If you want to customize it, if you want to install in some other location, you can just customize installation. Then you have to browse the path. Okay, so let it be the default location. And here, these are the two options are recommended: install launcher for all users and add Python 3.9 to path. So select these two checkboxes and then say click on the next. So after that, it will start installing your Python. It will take a few seconds of time. And after that, finally, you will get this screen: setup was successful. So this is the only thing you have to do. Just 3 to 4 screens are there. You have to just download the installer. I have provided the direct link here. If I just open this link, you will get this screen and you can just click on it. You will download. 3.9.6 is the latest version as of now. Okay, so just go through these screens and you will able to install. It is very simple and straightforward. Okay, so this is the default installation location of your Python. So in the C users, admin, app data, local programs, Python, and here you can see the Python along with the version number. This is a default installation location. But once you install your Python, so how we will know whether Python is successfully installed or not? So once you've done the installation, what you have to do is you just open the command prompt. So on Windows, you can open the command prompt, or if you are working on Mac, you can just open the terminal. So once you open the command prompt like this, just type Python here. So before installing the before installation, if I just type Python here, it will show you the invalid command error. But once you install your Python and then open the command prompt, and here you could just type Python here, then it will automatically show you the version number, which Python version you have successfully installed. So you should get this version number. That means you have successfully installed Python. Simple. Okay. So once you install your Python, you can write a Python program anywhere. You can just write in the notepad or command prompt, or Python itself is provided some kind of IDEs. So we can also write a Python program almost everywhere. Wherever you want to write your Python program, you can write it and you can compile it. Okay, so it is very, very simple. So I'll show you how many ways we can write a program, how many ways we can execute our Python program. So here, let's go back, and here I'll provide this document. So you can just go to the document and install the Python software. And once you once you install the Python software, just open the command prompt and then give this command call, just say Python. So that will give you version. So if you are getting version, means your Python is successfully installed. Okay, so guys are able to do that. It's very simple installation, and just you need to download the software, click on the next, and it will finish it off. I'll share the document after the session. Okay, all right, so once you download, install on Python on Windows, so the next thing is we can write a Python program any place and we can run in many ways. Now I'll show you how many ways we can run the Python code. How many ways we can run the Python code. So I'll show you many ways, but finally we will use one IDE which is called PyCharm. PyCharm is a most popular IDE where we will write all your Python programs, we can execute and everything, even on automation scripts also we are going to write in the PyCharm. So PyCharm is the most popular editor which is available for Python language. Even Eclipse is also supported. Even Eclipse also we can write a Python program and we can execute. But we have to additionally install PyDev plugin within your Eclipse. If you want to work with Eclipse, we have to install PyDev plugin within the Eclipse, and we will do that. But especially Eclipse is only for Java. Okay, so most of the Java developers will prefer to use Eclipse. But if you start working with the Python, better to go with the PyCharm, so which is the most popular editor which is available for Python. Okay. So before installing PyCharm and everything, I'll show you the general way of writing the program and execution of the program. So the first thing is, as soon as you install your Python, right? Python itself is providing some kind of editor called idle. If I just search, go for idle. So IDLE. So by default, the Python will give you this client, or we can say IDE, Integrated Development Environment. So what is IDE means? IDE means the editor. So where we can write something. Suppose I'm using here Notepad, right? If we want to write something, I'm using a Notepad. So Notepad is an IDE. Similarly, if you want to write your Python program, so we need to have some IDE. And some IDEs will be by default, Python will give you, and some IDEs we can externally download and install. So by default, Python is giving one IDE called IDLE, IDLE, and search for IDLE on your search bar of Windows. It will automatically pop up, and just click on it. So once you click on it, which will open the window like this. Okay, this is a IDLE window. And in this directly, you can just write the Python code. So for example, I want to print a simple message in Python. Simple, write one statement, print, you can just say in the double quotations, hello world. Okay, and then say bracket close and enter. Now we'll get the output here. This is output of the program. Simple line I have created. Suppose I say print 10 plus 20, enter. Now we'll get the 30 here. So this is a simple ID which is provided by Python itself, but this is not going to use. As a beginner, you can just do some practice on this, but actually in the projects, we don't prefer to use it. Okay. And these are all dynamic IDs. Dynamic IDs in the sense, as soon as you press enter, the statement output will be printed here directly. Okay. So this is IDLE. So this is one of the editor which we have. So which is also called as a Python shell. Okay, the other name is a Python shell. We can call it as a Python shell. So run a Python code through IDLE. So how we can open the IDLE? We can simply search for IDLE. And you don't need to install this separately. By default, you will get once you install Python. Okay. So in the Python editor, so this is basically command prompt. This is also command prompt. So we need to execute everything here. We don't see any UI here. Okay, so run Python code through IDLE. This is also called as a Python shell. And the second way is we can also execute our Python code through command prompt. Through command prompt also we can execute our Python code. But how we can do that? Let me just close this. Open the Windows command prompt. It's a CMD, and which will open the Windows command prompt. So this is our Windows command prompt. So once you get the Windows command prompt, here you can directly write your program. Okay, so here directly you can execute your program. How to execute it? So let me show you. So for example, here I can say, I say Python. Okay, so as soon as you give a command Python, so now Python command prompt is opened. So you can see three greater than symbols. So once you see the three greater than symbols, from here you can just start writing the Python code, Python programming code. Okay, so for example, I say x equal to 10 and y equal to 20. Now I want to print x plus y. I say x plus y. So then you will get 30. So now we have written 3 lines in the Python code. Or if I just directly can say print 100 plus 200. I'm just showing a simple how we can write a program and I can execute through command prompt. So this is another way we can just write the Python code and execute wherever you want. Just we need to go to the Python command prompt. How we will get the Python command prompt here? We can just say Python. And then automatically it will give you the Python command prompt, and from where you can start writing your Python code. Okay. But suppose in both the ways, so here this is a command prompt and here I have an IDLE. So these two things work exactly in the same way. There is no much difference between these two. So this is actual command prompt, which is from default Windows, and this is additionally which is provided by Python itself, and both are working in the same way. But here we cannot save this code as a single file. Okay, suppose tomorrow I want to refer the program and it is just dynamically taking the data and it is dynamically giving the output, but I want to save my program as a separate file and tomorrow I want to run my program, right? So that is not possible in these editors. So for that, what we can do is we have to go with some other way. So we can also write a program in some file and we can execute that file as a Python program. So that means we can also run the Python code We can also run the Python code through Notepad or Notepad Plus. You can use any editor. You can just write a Python code and that particular file we can execute everywhere. So now I'll show you how we can write a simple Python code in the Notepad and how we can execute. Let me just create a simple Notepad file. And I'm giving test dot, and always in the Python file should have py is an extension, not a txt. Okay, remember that. So whenever you create, okay, whenever you want to create a Python file, that extension of the file should be .py. .py. So now we can just open this file anywhere. You can just open in 8++ or anywhere you can use. Like even in the Notepad also you can just open. So I'm just opening in the edit++, and this is the editor I got. Or you can open this file in the Notepad also, no problem. And here I'm writing the Python code. I say x equal to 100, y equal to 200. I just want to print the result of x plus y. I say x plus y. So 3 lines of code I have created, and now saving the file. And you can just close the file. So now this file is representing one program in Python program. Now I want to run my program through this file. So how we can do that? Again, go to the command prompt, and here you can just say Python, right? So here we need to specify it. So what is the test.py, right? So what is the location of the file? You can just go to the properties, and which will show you the location. Get this location and specify, just paste it over here. Edit, paste here. If it's not able to paste, just open the command prompt one more time. Copy the location, whichever file you have created, you have just copy it, slash, the name of the file is test.py, test.py. So along with this Python keyword, just specify the file, which file you want to execute. In that file, we have written a small program. Now enter. Now as soon as you say enter, it is giving the output of that program. Okay, so this is how we can run the Python program, which is already created in some file. So these are all different ways we can write our program and we can execute in multiple places. So mainly these are the 3 things. One is we can run the Python code through idle, which is a default IDE which is provided by Python. Second thing is we can run the Python code through CMD. That means dynamically we can enter all the code in the command prompt itself. And the third approach is we can write a Python code or Python program in a file. It can be any file, and then we have to save that file as a .py extension, and then we can execute that file from anywhere from your operating system, from the command prompt. So, but you have to just give Python is a command. Python, specify the location of the file. That's it, which will give you output of that particular file. So this is how normally we can run the Python code or Python programs in multiple ways. But when you're working on real projects on day-to-day basis, we don't prefer all these things. Okay, so we need a kind of a editor or IDE, and like which is UI based, and all the menu options should be there, icon should be there, and the result console window should be there. So everything should be there on the editor itself, and it should be more flexible, and sometimes it should able to give auto suggestions, right? So it makes our job very, very easy. So for that, we need a something different kind of editor. So for that, we have to go for PyCharm. PyCharm is a most popular IDE for Python, especially for Python. Okay. So now let us see how we can download this IDE, because while learning the Python and also while learning the Selenium, so throughout our sessions, the next sessions, all the sessions, we are going to use PyCharm itself. Okay. So now I'll show you how to download PyCharm and how to install it. And then we will see how to work with the PyCharm, how to write a simple Python code and how we can execute, how we can see the output, all these things. So to download and install on PyCharm, what you have to do is just go to the Google and say download PyCharm. Okay. So once you search for download PyCharm for Python, or just say download PyCharm, which will automatically give you some URLs here. So JetBrains is actually a company which is developing a lot of products, and PyCharm is one of the product among them. So just go to this location And now you can see PyCharm is also available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and whichever operating system you are currently working, just choose that particular tab here. So currently we are working on Windows, so just go to the Windows, and again you can see two options here, professional and community. So professional is actually a free trial is available for few days, but after that which will expire, you have to pay something about it because it's not completely free. But if install professional, we can just develop for HTML, JS, SQL, and so many other support is there, but we don't need all these things. So just we can use community version. This is completely uh, for pure Python development, okay, which is completely free and open source. We no need to pay anything for that, okay. So but if you go with the professional version, we will get some more advanced features in PyCharm. Again, anyway, we are not going to use all those features. uh, then we can go with the community version. Okay, so let's go and click on the download here. As soon as you click on the download, which will start downloading the PyCharm. So I already downloaded, so you can just look at this. This is a icon. You can see PyCharm-com community, PyCharm _community. So this is the ID which we need. Okay, so just PyCharm is not enough. Okay, you have to download Python also. So first you need to install Python completely and then download PyCharm. Okay, so now I already downloaded one PyCharm installer here. So this is the installer. So we need to install this PyCharm. So to install this PyCharm, because when you download in a PyCharm also, by default PyCharm will comes with some kind of virtual environment of Python. Okay, but if you want to really work with the Python like development and automation, everything, so later on we have to install a lot of new packages. So Python should be there. So whichever Python software we have downloaded and installed, that should be there inside the PyCharm. So I'll show you how to configure our PyCharm with our existing Python, which we already downloaded and installed. Okay, so the next step is we have downloaded this PyCharm. So I again have created a small document here. You can just look at this. So go to this website and you have to just download the software. And here I provided the screenshot also, same thing which I have shown you. And this is the installer file. So once you get this installer file, you can just double click, it will start installing the PyCharm. It's a very simple steps also. It will give you one more screen like this and click on the next. And this is the default location of PyCharm, and you can just have this location and click on the next. And then in this window you just select the first one, PyCharm community edition, and second one is add a bin folder to the path. So just select this option because by default a Python path should be added to the environment variable of your Windows. Otherwise we have to do manually later. So better to have check these two boxes, PyCharm community edition and the second one, update path variable, and then click on the next. So once you click on the next, you will see one more screen like this, and here you have to click on the install. So once you click on the install, then it will take some time and it will install. And once you complete this process, and finally you will see this window and it will ask you to reboot your machine. Okay, so once you install this, you have to reboot completely and then only the PyCharm works properly. So you can just select this checkbox, second checkbox, I want to manually reboot later. If you select this one, you can later on you can just reboot, but you can select the reboot now, the first checkbox, that will automatically reboot your machine after clicking on the finish. That means your machine will be restarted. That's it. So this is how we need to just install the PyCharm. So these are just basic steps. I have captured the screenshots, and this is again latest version of PyCharm screen. So you no need to worry at the time of installation because you will see the same screens. Okay. All right. So once you install your PyCharm, right? So first time when you install your PyCharm, you will get a small icon on your desktop. So I'll show you that. So this is a simple icon you can see on your desktop, or else you can just search in the search box. If you are not able to see the icon, you can just search for here, PyCharm community edition. Okay, so now let us open this, and as soon as you open this, and which will show you a beginning window like this. As soon as you Click on it. So this is first screen launching PyCharm. So as soon as you click on that, first screen will be like this. And by default, it is providing the dark theme. And if you want to change the theme, you can just change it. I'll tell you how to change it. I already changed it actually. Just a moment. I'm just removing all these things. Okay. So by default, you will get this window. And if you want to change the theme, and you can just go to customize, and here you can change the color theme. Okay, I already changed it. So, and if you want to increase the PyCharm font, which will give you very smaller, you cannot see that font most of the time. So if you want to change or increase the IDE font, you can just increase number here. Okay. And by default, you will see 4 options. First time when you launching your PyCharm, and projects, customize, plugins, and learn PyCharm. So you can just go to the project. So in this window, you can see 3 options: new project, which is creating a new project, and open means which will open already existing project, and get from VCS means any version control system like Git or GitHub is available. From there also we can directly get the project. So what is the project means? We have to create a new project first, because later on we will do all the stuff inside the project itself. Okay, now let us create a new project. So I'm just clicking on the new project. So as soon as you created the new project, so you can just browse a location where you want to create your project. Okay, wherever you want to create project, you can just browse a location. You can just click on the browse here, and you can show the location wherever you want to create a project. And later on, whatever the stuff we are going to do, whatever programs and code scripts, everything will be stored in that particular project. So I have given some path here inside users admin PyCharm project, and here I'm saying some different name in the PyCharm projects. I say Python training. Okay, so this is a project name I have given, Python training. And after that, you can see some options here. So basically, what are these options is mainly this one. Okay, so this is actually virtual environment which will automatically created, and mainly base interpreter. So what is this base interpreter means? So at the time of Python installation, so by default, this base interpreter will be something different. So by default, PyCharm also comes along with some Python installer files. But if we want to configure our own Python with the PyCharm, so we need to specify the base interpreter. So what is this base interpreter is basically the location of the Python which have installed earlier. If I just go back, I have already copied that location. If I just look at here, this is a location where actual Python is installed. So let me just open. And if I just go individual folders, you cannot see that because these are all hidden files. Okay. So first let us go to the till app data. I'll show you that. So just go till app data. Now you can see local. Inside this local, you can see programs. So these are all hidden folders. Okay. Programs. Inside this Python, and inside this Python 3.9. So this is the actual location of your Python installation. And you can see something called python.exe. Okay. So if you want to configure our own Python in the PyCharm, so we need to specify this location as a base interpreter. This is a base interpreter. So now go back to your PyCharm and make sure and this path is correctly there or not. So I already configured earlier, so it is giving this one. By default, it will not show you. So in that case, you need to click on the browse, and then you have to provide that path completely. Okay, and then your base interpreter. So whatever Python you have already installed, your PyCharm is going to use that particular Python. Okay, so have this information, and then only these are the only thing you have to check, and then you have to provide your project name. And this location is optional. But wherever you want to create this location, you can just create and browse it. So once you have done this, click on this, and here it will ask you create a main.py welcome script. We don't need any default Python program anything, so we can just remove it. Create. So once you have done this, which is going to create a new Python project. So in the going forward, whatever Python programs we are going to create should be part of this project. So this is just one-time task. All right. So now, okay, it is saying some error. So error configuring SDK. So basically there is a conflict between
The PyCharm SDK means software development kit, which is by default comes along with the PyCharm, no problem. So now we can just close that window, and now we created a new project here, Python training. Okay. So once you created this, let us start creating a simple program in this. So before that, every day I will create a new folder inside this project. Okay. So instead of writing all the programs in the project directly, what I can do, I'll create a new folders inside the project, and inside the folder like day 1, day 2, day 3, and in every day, whatever programs I'm going to explain should be part of those folders. Now select the project, and the new, select the directory. So here we can call it as a directory, which is equal to folder. Now here we have to provide the name of the directory. I say day 1. Okay, so day 1, and I just created a new folder. So as soon as you created a new folder, you can just create a simple Python program. For that, we have to create a new file, or you can directly select a Python file. You can just select the file or Python file. Anything is fine. If you select a only file, you have to give the file name like my first program .py. So .py you have to provide, and you can just give any name to the program. The extension of the file is .py should be given, and then the new file is created, and editor is also opened here. You can write a Java Python program here. The other way is I can just delete this, and the other way of creating the file is like this. I'll show you now. Close this. We already deleted, so I can just delete this. Okay, it's not deleted. Yeah, cancel. So refresh, somehow it is not deleted. Okay, no problem. So let it be there. So let me just create a new file by using Python file. Okay, let me just create a Python file. So in this, you don't need to give the extension, just you have to provide the file name. That's it. I say my file name is, I say hello world. Okay, hello world. Just enter, then automatically which will create a new file called hello world.py. So here you don't need to provide any extension for that. Somehow the first file is got hanged. I'm just closing. Okay, so let's go to the second one, hello world.py. So this is how we can just create a new Python file. So whenever you want to write a simple program or first program, you can just create a new Python file. So what is the extension of the Python file? .py is a extension of the Python file. So as soon as you open the file, somehow these files are not closing. Let me just close my PyCharm once again. I'll open it once again. Just give me a few seconds. It is trying to launch. Yeah. Okay. Now it opens my project. Okay. Now I have closed my first file, and first file already deleted. So now it is updated. So you can just close my editor also. Now this is a new file which we have created. So like this, you can create any number of Python files inside the directory. So let's just double click. It will open the editor. So here we can write our Python program. So by default, it will give you a very smaller font here, right? I can say here, I can simply say, this is my first Python program. So you can see here, this font is fine. You're able to see here, right? But sometime by default, it will give very small font. So if you want to change the font or increase the font, you can just go to the file, and here you can see something called settings. Inside the settings, you just go to appearance behavior, and under appearance, you can just say uh, editor, not appearance, go to editor. Inside the editor, you can see font. Okay, so here you can increase the font if you want to see big characters. Okay, and say okay, automatically the font will be increased. So now this is the first program I'm just going to create. So here I'm just writing simple call, simple print statement, print. So whenever you want to print something, you have to use print method or print command. Print in the bracket, we have to keep whatever you want to print. I say, so hello world, and this is my first Python program. And like Java, here we don't have any semicolons, end of the statement, nothing. You have just a plain statement. It's very similar to English language. You can everyone easily understand the statements. Okay. So here we don't have any semicolon. Even if you keep the semicolon, nothing happens here. No problem at all. Okay. So, but have written simple statement here. But how to execute this statement? So to execute statement, just right click here and then say run hello world. Or you can directly, if you want to run, you can just use run button will be enabled here, and that you have to click. Let me save the file. Okay, let me just run as a hello world. Okay, so it is giving some error related to interpreter. So you can see Python interpreter is not properly configured, so we have to configure that. So let me select this, then say apply and say overrun. So next time it won't ask anything. So now we can see the program is output is displayed. So this is a terminal, we can say a console window, and which will automatically displayed here as soon as you executed your program. And suppose I'll take x equal to 100 and y equal to 200. I want to perform sum of these two numbers and print the output in the console window. Simply we can say print 100 plus, or you can say x plus y, and then execute. So now we can see this is the output of the first statement and this is the output of the print statement. Okay, so in this editor we can write a simply Python program and which will give you the result in this console window. So now we can see the green button is enabled. You can just use this to execute your program. Okay, so this PyCharm, we will discuss a few more options in the PyCharm slowly one by one. But this is a way we need to first create a new project inside the PyCharm. Then you can create any number of files inside this project. So every day I will create a new folder or new directory like this, day 1, day 2, day 3, and so on. And I will keep all the programs inside this files. And later on, now I'm just closing my file. So later on, I want to execute the same program. Then again, go again, open the file, because the file is always will be in this folder itself, which will not be deleted. So again, you can execute this program. So you can run any number of times once you write your program. Okay. So this is how first we need to open the PyCharm and then create a new project and just create a new file, Python file. Always the file name should be .py, and you can just simply write a program and execute. Okay, so now we will discuss a few important programming concepts. So till now we have just seen how to install and how to do setup everything. So I can just share this document, and even PyCharm installation also have given in this document. You can just go through this and you can install yourself. Okay, it's very simple and straightforward. Are you guys able to do that? Please confirm in the chat window. Can you do this by seeing this document? Same steps you have to perform. Okay, nothing new, because this is the latest version PyCharm I have tried and latest version of Python. So you don't see any new thing other than this document. Okay, so it's always suggest Windows operating system to practice everything. Okay, because in the real-time environment you don't use Linux operating system to write automation code. So Linux is basically used for the servers. If you want to install any database servers or any web servers, the Linux machine will be used. Even Mac also will not be used most of the times. Okay, fine. So I'll share this document and you guys can try to install Python first and install PyCharm and get ready environment. Okay, now I'll show you a few important things related to the Python programming language. So if you want to start learning any programming language, right? Suppose if you start learning an English language, how we will start learning? So first we will start like alphabets, and then we will start how to write the words, and then sentences, and then paragraphs, and so on, right? Similarly, if you want to learn any programming language, the same order we have to follow. The first we need to learn some basic things like comments or data type operators, right? And after that, slowly we will learn control statement, looping statement, and there are many concepts we have in the programming. So now let me show you something called comments. What are the comments in program? So basically comments are used to write some description about the application, like a logic. So suppose what is the program? The program contains a number of statements. Today you have created some program like this, right? So we have written some statements like this, and tomorrow somebody is trying to read your code, and how they will know what exactly you have written in this your statement, what kind of logic you have written. So whatever you have written in your program, can just write some description, because the code will be more readable to others, so others will feel very easy to understand your code by reading your code. Okay, so for that we need to write some kind of description, which is basically called as a comments. So what is the main importance of comments? So basically, the comments are used to write a small description about your application logics, to understand the logics very easily. Somebody else can easily understand your code. And basically the main purpose of writing comments is improving the readability. That's the main objective of writing the comments. So the main object of comments, that code maintenance will become very, very easy. And the comments are non-executable code. What is the comment? Comment means non-executable code, means Python will not execute the comment. So for example, I have written this statement. Let me create one more program. I'm just closing this. So let us create a new file, and I'll name it as a comments.py. This is another Python file. Okay. Suppose I want to write some description here, or like say other name and designation and everything, who is created this program and everything. I'll put some comment. For example, name of the programmer. Let's say name of the programmer. Okay, and then designation, and then which for which application is writing all these things. Okay, so like this, if you want to write some description, you can just put them in the comment section. Like say hash. So hash used as a comment. So whenever we say hash, these statements are become comments. So Python will not execute this statement at runtime. So Python will just ignore this statement, because these are just a comments. So like this, whatever code you have written in your program, you can just write comments for all the statements, and that will increase the readability of the code. Okay, so Python will just ignore the comments, just ignore the comments. Suppose sometimes you may have only one line comment, and sometimes you may have multiple line comments, but how we can represent them? So for example, in this, I'm just writing a simple statement. I'll say print. Okay, so here I'll put some statement. I'm working with Python. So I'm just written some statement here. So I'm just executing this, and then you will get the output. So every time it is asking here, instead of configuring this Python interpreter, so just configure that at the project level. Go to the project, go to the file settings. Okay, so here, this is the project Python interpreter. So here we don't have interpreter associated. So here select the interpreter. If you do configuration here, every time it will not ask you. Okay, so every file it is asking to specify the Python interpreter. So once you done the setting here, it will not ask you again, and say apply and approve. Okay. Okay, now I have just written a simple statement here. Now when I execute this, let me execute the code. So once you configure interpreter, it is getting some files internally. Okay, let me just execute. So now we got some output. So I want to write some description about this statement. Suppose if you want to write a single line comment, hash is a symbol, hash, and you can simply write a simple message. Let's say this is a Python program. Like this, you can just write a single line comment. Suppose if you want to write a multiple lines comment, then how we can do that? So I want to have written 3, 4, 5 lines of code. I want to comment all these lines. So I want to comment all these lines. So simply what you can do is, you can, in Python, we can use 3 double quotations beginning, and here also 3 double quotations at the end. Now all these statements are considered as a comments. This is the one way you can do that. The other way is, you can just have multiple statements, and you can also use single quotations 3 times, and here also single quotations 3 times. So this is also considered as a comment. This is also considered as a comment. So this one and this one and also this one. So anything is fine. And single line comment, you can use a hash. But is there any shortcut keys available? Yes. Suppose I don't have a command for this and I want to comment this single statement. We have a control. Select the statement. I say control forward slash. Control forward slash. So CTRL control plus forward slash. Then automatically that line will be commented. Now if you want to remove that comment, then again control slash. That comment will be removed. So for adding comment and removing comment, the same shortcut key you can use. Control slash. Similarly, suppose I want to comment multiple lines. What is the shortcut key we have? So if you want to comment multiple lines, select all the statements, whatever you want to comment. I say control shift slash. So shift is newly added. Control shift slash. So control slash shift, I guess. Let me just check it here. And if you don't know the shortcut, you can just refer it. Under the code, you can find the options which are available. Okay, now you can just see comment with the line. Control plus slash is there. Comment with the block comment. Control shift slash. Yeah, it is correct on it. Control shift forward slash. So I say control shift forward slash. Still not working. Yeah, just a second. Okay, so for multi-line comment also it is saying control slash, because this again single line comment only. For every line we have to give the slash, right? So if I say only control slash here, for every line it is adding slash slash slash. But I don't want to do like this. I just want to comment all the stuff at one shot. Let me try from here. And basically this option is disabling. Comment with line control slash and comment with the block statement. This option is there, but it is somehow disabled. Okay, we'll see that. Okay, so I've not selected anything. Just go to the code and still it is not enabled. Okay, so somehow it is not enabled. Actually, if you want to if you want to comment a block of statements, normally we use this option, comment with block statement. Control shift slash would work. So that we will see later. Somehow it is not working fine. Okay, so if you want to comment multiple lines also, you can just select them. Control slash you can use. And again, if you want to remove them, you can just select all of them. You can say control slash once again. Or if you want to do it manually, you can say three single slashes, three single slashes. Or you can say three double slashes, and don't use combinations. Okay, either double quotations or single quotations. Sorry, this is the one. This is also commented. So Python will ignore this statement at the runtime. Okay, Python will ignore the statement and this will also ignore. Let's try to execute. So you will get the output only from the statement. Okay, so this is how we need to work with the comments. The first thing. And then Python will ignore the comments in runtime. Simple usage, just to improve the readability of the code, we use the comments. And then what are the different keywords available in Python? Keywords. What is the meaning of keyword? So keyword is nothing but a reserved word. Reserved. Okay, reserved words in Python. What does it mean? These words are having their own meaning in Python. So we should not use those words for variable names or some other purpose. Okay, keywords are nothing but a reserved words, and those words having their own meaning in Python. So let us see what are the different keywords are available in Python. There are so many keywords are there, but if you want to display all the keywords in the list, we can just write a simple code. Let me just go to the PyCharm and I'll create one more program. Right click, a new file, and name it as keywords.py. And you can give any name to the file. There is no naming convention, nothing. You can give alphabets, lowercase character, anything, underscore, spaces, anything, it is allowed. Now, inside this, I want to see what are the keywords are available in Python 3. What are the list of keywords? Keywords are, in the sense, those keywords are reserved words. We should not use those keywords as a variable names or any other purposes. But we need to know what are the keywords are available. So simply we can just say print. There is a predefined module in Python that is called, I'll talk about these modules later. Okay, for now, just understand. Keyword is a default module which we already have in Python. It is just like a package in Java. If you know already about Java, you know about packages, right? Here we can call it as a module. So keyword dot, inside this we have something called KW list, which is again class actually. So this will give you all the keywords which are available in Python. So as soon as you are using this name, it is imported that class. Actually, this class is present inside the keyword module. And don't confuse what is class and what is module, all these things. So later on, I will cover all these concepts slowly one by one. So once you start learning object-oriented programming concepts, then you will understand what exactly this is. Okay, just follow blindly what I'm just typing here. And to access this KW list from the keyword, we need to first import that keyword and then we can access KW list. So what this will give you, this will print all the keywords which are already available in Python. So let's try to execute, run keywords. Now we can just look at this. There are so many keywords are there and I'm copying them and try to print here. There are so many keywords are there. I'll put in the multiple lines and scroll down. You can see I have selected till here only. So there are so many other keywords also there. Okay. So I just copying them. All right. Again, so I'm just trying to put a comment. Okay, still I have not copied all the stuff, but these are the different keywords. You can just look at this: false, none, okay, and as, asset, async, await, break, class. So these are the Python reserved words or Python keywords. So we should not use these keywords for any other purposes because these keywords are having their own meaning in Python. So if you want to see all the keywords which are available in Python, we can just print this keyword.kw list. So that will print you all the keywords which are available in Python. So this will prints all available keywords in Python. Okay. So this is a simple understanding what is keyword. So keyword is a reserved word which we cannot use it for any other purposes. And the next most important thing is a data types. Every programming language is having some data types. Just like that, even Python is also having some data types, like data types, operators, everything is there. But something different here, I'll tell you. So what is a data type, first of all? So what is a data type? Suppose if you create a variable, let's say x equal 100. What is x? What is 100? 100 is a value, x is called a variable. So x is a variable. Variable means what? Variable is a container which can hold some data. So variable means is a container which can hold some data, right? And which will, the Python will allocate some memory to this variable and then we can store some data. That's basically called as a variable. So in Python, while defining the variables, we have to know few important things. What are those important things? A variable is nothing but a reserved memory location to store the values. As soon as you created a variable like this, which will automatically assign some memory to this variable to store the value. So variables are used to store the data and memory allocated when the values are stored in the variables. As soon as you store some value into the variable, the memory automatically will be allocated. And every variable must have some type. So what is this type? Type is nothing but a data type. So every variable must have some type. But in Java, if you create a variable, we must specify the data type. For example, if I want to store a number in a variable, we have to define that variable as an int. Suppose if you want to store a string like this, I want to store a string data into the variable, that variable should be defined as a string type like this. And this is basically called as a data type. But in Python, data types are available, But the thing is, we no need to specify the data type. So because Python is having one very good feature, which is dynamically typed language. Python is a dynamically typed language. There's another new feature which is having in Python, which is not there in any other programming languages. So what is the meaning of dynamically typed language? As soon as you created a variable, if I put some value, by default, this variable will be considered as an integer variable. So you no need to write the data type. Similarly, when you create another variable with some string value, by default, Python will consider this variable as a string variable. And you no need to specifically say the data type. But in Java, it is not like that. So Python is a dynamically typed programming language. We have to remember this feature. Dynamically typed programming language. And this feature is there only in the Python programming language. Okay, remember that. So what is meant by dynamically typed programming language? We no need to specify the data type of the variable, but still data types are there in Python. What are the data types are there in Python? In the Python, various data types are there. Text type, str is the data type. For numeric, int and float is a data type. If you want to store a single number, integer, then int is a data type. And if you want to store a decimal number, then float is a data type. And similarly, we have a list type, a tuple, dictionary, a set, a bool. These are different types are available in the coming sessions. I will discuss more on this. But remember, like other programming languages, Python is also having the data types. But it is not mandatory to specify the data type in front of the variable. Not required, because dynamically the Python will automatically assign the particular data type to that variable based on the value we provided. Okay, that's a one very good feature which we have in Python. And one more thing is there. What is that? Suppose x equal to 100 we put. So x is a number, right? Integer. Now after that, in the x also, I can put some different number. Suppose I can say, I can also put some string value. This is also allowed in Python. See, initially x is a number, but as soon as you change the value of the x, automatically the x will becomes a string. X will becomes a string. So this is also part of the dynamically typed programming language. But in Java, it is not possible. If you define this variable x as an integer throughout the programming, in x, we should store only numbers. We cannot store any other type of data in the x. But in the Python, we can anytime we can change the value accordingly. The data type of the variable also automatically changes. So this is an exact feature which we can call it as a dynamically typed programming language. Remember guys, okay, very, very important feature from Python. So later on, I will discuss all the data types like list, tuple, dictionary, set, all these things. And if you store a string in a variable, that will automatically consider str data type. If you store a number into the variable, that variable is considered as int data type. Suppose if this number is having some decimal point, that will be considered as a float type. And if that variable is having only true or false, that will be considered as a Boolean type. And rest of them are exactly used for the collections. Like in array, in Java, we have arrays concept, array list concept, right? So set like this. So similarly, Python is also having some collection type, right? So this is a main feature which we have in Python. So now I'll show you one example how we need to work with this data types. Go back to the PyCharm, and I will create another file, new file, and I'll name it as data types.py. Okay, so now here, let me just create some variables. I'll say x equal to 100. So now what is the type of x? What is the type of x? Int is a type of x. But how we will know the type? If we want to know what is the type of x and what is the type Python is assigned to this variable. So if you want to know that, we can simply know that. How we can know that? We have a function in the Python called as a type. In that, we can just pass the variable. That will automatically gives you the type of x. But we want to print that value, right? For that, we have to use one more function called print function. Because whatever you keep in the print function, that will print that as an output in the console window. So type of x will give you the type of X. What is the type of X? And if you want to print that, additionally, we have to use a print method. Okay. Now just execute this and see what will happen. So this will give you int. So this is belongs to int class type. Okay. So this is given int. Perfectly fine. Suppose I create one more variable y. I have some decimal number. Now I want to know the type of y. So what could be the type of y? So this time I'm just writing the y. Now what is the type of y? It should be float. It should be float. So double we don't have here. Okay, only float we have. So when I execute this, which will give you float. You can have a number, any big number size is fine. So this is given float. Now observe this carefully. This time I'm saying xy and yes equal to, I say welcome. Now one more flexibility here is, in Python, if you want to represent a string, right, we have to keep in the double quotations or single quotations also allowed. This is also perfectly fine. Single quotations also allowed. But what about the characters? Characters also we can keep in the single quotations or double quotations, because for single character or multiple characters, for both str is a data type. For both str is a data type. But in Java, it is not like that. In Java, char data type is different. String type is different. Char we will include in the single quotations. String we will include in the double quotations. But here we don't have that kind of thing. So we can just directly specify the string in the single quotation or double quotations. Similarly, character also we can keep in the single quotations or in the double quotations. Anything is fine. So this is a character, but still I can give a double quotations. Okay, anything is correct. So this one is right, and this one is also correct, and here single quotation, this is also correct, and this is also correct. Sorry. Okay, so this is also right. And strings we can include either in single quotations or double quotations. Even single character also we can include in the double quotations or single quotation. Anything is fine. Okay, so I just commenting this, later on you can understand. Now I want to print, I want to know the type of yes and C also. So let me just print the type. So what's the type of yes? And also I want to print the type of C. So for yes and C, for both, the type is str only. Now let us run these data types. Now you can see for string and single character also the type is str. So this returns str, means string. Okay. So suppose I have one more variable called b and I'll say true. So true means it should be uppercase character. Remember guys. So Boolean value. So what is a Boolean type means? Either it allows only true or false. So here I have assigned true here. Now what is the type of b? I say print type of b. I just print type of b, sorry, lowercase characters. Print type of b. So this should be bool type. Bool is nothing but a Boolean type. Okay. So like this, Python will automatically assign the data type to the variables based on the value we provided. So we have seen that point now. The dynamically typed programming languages, we have seen one point here. What is that one point? We no need to specify the data type of the variable, but based on the value we have assigned, automatically the data type will be given to that variable by Python itself. And one more point is there in the dynamically typed programming language. What is that point? If you have some value in the variable and later on I can change that value, some other type of value also I can keep. Suppose if I just look at here, yes equal to welcome. What is the type of this variable? String, right? And later on in yes, I can store some number also. This is also valid. So what is the type of yes now? So let me show you like this. See here, take some other variable. Okay. So for example, some x equal to, I say 1, 2, 3, 4. So now let's type the type, print the type of x. Okay. Print type of x. So what is the type of x here? What is the type of x? We are expecting int, right? So let's try to execute. So type of X is int, perfectly fine. So after that, I want to change X value to different. So this again, different type value. So now what is the type of X? What could be the type of X? It should be string. So now it should be str, means it is a string. So what we have understood based on that. So if you have some value in the variable, by default, Python will assign the data type. But later on, if you change the different type or if you add some different type of data, again, the variable data type automatically will change. So that is also part of this feature, dynamically typed programming language. But in Java, we don't have this flexibility there. If you create a variable with one data type, that is fixed. We cannot change the data type of the variable. We cannot change the value of the variable. Clear, everyone, so far? So how to work with the variables and data types? Most important concept. For variables, I will show you one more example. So are you guys clear on data types? So that's the most important point here. We no need to specify the data type for the variables, and Python will automatically assign the data types based on the values we provided. All right. Now, so let us discuss more on the variables. So we have just to talk about the data types. Now let us discuss more on the variables. Let's create one more example. Go back to the PyCharm. And I will share all this code later. Okay, I'll upload everything in the Google Drive. You can get it from there. So now let me just create a new file. I'll name it as variables.py. Now let us see variables, very, very important concept. Let us say a equal to 10. A is a variable or not? A is a variable which contains a 10 is a value. B is a 20. So A is a 10, B is 20. S equal to, I store some string. Is it correct or not? S equal to welcome is correct or not? Correct, because strings we can include in the double quotations or single quotations. Perfectly fine. Now, if you want to print the type of A, B, S, A, B, S, then what we can do? Print of type of A. This will give you type of A. Similarly, if you want to get the type of B, I can say B. If you want to get the type of S, we can get the yes. So when I run this, so first one is integer, second one is also integer, third one is also integer. So we have understood what exactly it is. So we will get the type of the variables. Now, let me just comment this statement. Example 1. Let me write some comment here. Example 1. This you need to understand. Here I creating A equal to 10. Okay. And B is equal to 10.5 decimal number. I'll say print A and print B. I say print A and print B. So what is an output you will get? A value is a 10, B value is equal to 10.5. So when I execute this code, you get 10 and 10.5, perfectly fine. Now I want to print 10 A value and B value both, but I don't want to write two statements. So instead of writing two statements for every variable, suppose if you have a 5 variables or 10 variables, you have to create 5 or 10 statements like this to print the values of those variables. So instead of that, I want to have only one single statement that should be able to print the values of all the variables. So is it possible in Python or not? Yes. So we can happily print the values of all the variables within single statement by using single statement instead of writing two statements. Let me comment these two statements and just writing a single statement. Print A comma B. Simple. A comma B. So like this, you can separate, you can put all the variables by separating comma. Let me just execute, which will also give the same result. 10 is a value of the first variable. 10.5 is a value of the second variable. B, A and B. Right. So suppose here, observe this. I'm also commenting this code. Now look at this. Example 2. I just copied the same above code, whatever I have. So I say A equal to 10, B equal to 10.5. Okay. So here I'm defining multiple variables, right? So for example, let's say a equal to 10, b equal to 20, c equal to 30. So three variables I have created. Or let us say c equal to string value I have. So three variables I have, a, b and c, three different variables I created. So can I create all the variables in single line? So instead of a equal to 10, b equal to 20, so instead of creating multiple variables in the multiple lines, can we create in the single line? Just like above example, instead of printing the variables in multiple lines, like print a, print b, print c like this, I have just used only one statement. Similarly, instead of defining multiple variables like this, can I create all these things in one single line? Yes, we can do this in single line. But how we can do that? Simply you can say a comma b comma c equal to 10 comma 20 comma and string value. That's it. So now what happens in the single statement? 10 will be assigned to the a, 20 will be assigned to the b, welcome will be assigned to the c. So instead of writing three different variables, here also we have written three variables, but within a single line we have done. So now we can just print a, b, c values. See how much easy it is. People who already know Java, you people definitely feel this very, very simpler than Java. So instead of writing three different statements, you can just write a single statement, a, b, comma, b, comma, c equal to 10, comma, 20, comma, welcome. At the time of printing also, you can just print a, comma, b, comma, c. Now when I run this, you will get us values like this. Okay, so in this example, we have seen how to write a single print statement to print values of all the variables. In the example 2, we have seen how to write a single statement to define the multiple variables. Instead of writing multiple statements for multiple variables, we have just created only one single statement which contains the multiple variables. In example 2. Now we'll see one more example. Example 3. I'll also comment this. See this. I want to store a equal to, let's say, 100, right? B equal to 100, C equal to also 100. Now how many variables we created? Three variables, but values are same. So if the values are same, right? 100 is there, for A value is 100, B value is 100, C value is 100. So if the values are same for multiple variables, instead of writing three statements, you can simply write A equal to B equal to C equal to 100. Single statement. This is also perfectly right. Now what happens? 100 will be assigned to the C, same value will be assigned to the B, same value again assigned to the A. Now A, B, C, all three variable values are 100 only. But when you have to use this statement like this, if the values are same for all the variables, then we have to use this statement like this. Now let us print A comma B comma C and then execute and see you got same values. This is one more example, one more scenario, right? So now I'll show you one more scenario. Let me just comment this. Example 4. Example 4. Understand this. X equal to y, x equal to 1 and y equal to 2 I put. X1, y2. So two variables I have defined. So we already know this. As I print x comma y, what is an output you will get? And I say x comma y, what is an output you will get? X is 1, y is 2. So when I execute this, you will say 1 comma 2. Perfectly fine. So this is returning 1 comma 2. Right? Suppose I say like this, print y comma x, I said. So this will also print the same thing, but the values will be interchanged. Right? So 2 comma 1 is printed. So this is also expected, 2 comma 1, because the y value is a 2, x value is a 1. But here my requirement is I want to exchange the values between x and y, but not exchanging the variables. So I want to have the same order, x comma y, but instead of x value printing 1, it should print 2 and y value should becomes 1. That means I just want to do the swapping part, swapping of these two numbers. But if you want to write this swapping technique in Java, we can write many ways. But here It's very, very simple. With single statement, we can do that. So I want to interchange these values, x into y and y into x. So if you just print x comma y values, you will just print 1 comma 2. But how we can exchange it? You can just interchange these values. You can simply say y comma x equal to x comma y. That's it. Y comma x equal to x comma y. Then what happens? So what is the current value of x? 1. That 1 will be assigned to the first variable called y. Now what is the value of y here? 2. The 2 will be assigned to the x. Now after that, again try to print x and y values, and then you see the output. See this? First time it is giving 1 2, second time it is giving 2 1. So swapping is happened within single statement. We have not written any logic here. Just y comma x equal to x comma y. That's it. Swapping is done. Right? So this is another example. We can also assign the values like this. Okay. And same thing. One more example. We already discussed this. In one variable, we can store different values also, right? So I'll say a equal to 100. Now, if you want to print a, which will give you 100, right? So which will give you 100. Perfectly fine. And suppose I want to change the value of a. Now a, I'll put some string data like this. Now if you want to print a, what's an output you will get? What's an output you will get here? Because earlier the a value is 100, so 100 is printed here. After that, I'm changing a value equal to welcome, so the latest value of a is welcome should get. So now when I execute, so we'll get the welcome. Because in Python, we can change the value of the variable anytime. Again, so that is again feature of dynamically typed programming language. So this is the very most important term in Python, guys. So if you go for Python interview, the first question they will ask you is, what is the main feature of Python? So you have to tell dynamically typed programming language. Then they will ask, what is dynamically typed programming language? You have to tell two reasons. One is data type you don't need to specify. Based on the type of data, it will automatically assign. Second thing is the variable can have any type of data. So once you specify one data, once you add some type of data, later on you can change the data also. Anything, it can be string, number, float, whatever it is. So that's a dynamically programming language. Okay, so this is all about the variables concept, guys. So today we have learned how to work with the comments. What are the different comments, right? Single line, multi-line, and we have seen what are the different keywords are in their Python, and we have understood what are the variables and data types. And in the later on, I will discuss more about these data types, because each data type will take one session. So they are very huge concept. Okay, these are the fundamentals of Python programming language, which we need to understand. Okay, so that's all for today's session, guys. I'm just stopping here. So I will share these files. So as part of today's session, what you have to do is, as part of your practice, first try to install Python and go through the document and try to install Python. And if you follow the same steps, you will not get any issues. Okay, it will go very smoothly. And then try to install the PyCharm. PyCharm is most important because we are going to use PyCharm every day. And once you create your PyCharm and launch the PyCharm and try to create a new project, I have shown you in the video. So create a new Python project and then create a new folders like this and try to create your programs and try to execute them. So this will give you the basic understanding how exactly we have to write a program and how to execute your Python program and so on. Okay, so in the next session we will see a few more important concepts from Python. All right.